Ever wondered about the complex links between Prophet Muhammad and Jesus? This question draws us into the mesmerizing realm of religious history and symbolism. One such captivating thread in this tapestry is the concept of the forgotten stone. This symbol, which is mentioned in Jesus' teachings, the forgotten stone materializes as a metaphor for a significant figure, often disregarded but fated for greatness. Could this possibly be a subtle to Prophet Muhammad, whose impact on religious discourse is immense? To further enlighten this idea, let's consider a hadith from Sahih al-Bukhari, where Prophet Muhammad has been quoted to say that is the final brick, and all the prophets before him were like bricks. This suggests a continuity in the line of prophethood, and in this continuity, the forgotten stone could very well be the final brick. That is, Prophet Muhammad himself. Hence, let us dive deeper into these connections, beginning with the intriguing forgotten stone. The forgotten stone, as mentioned, carries a profound significance. This stone, despite being overlooked and ignored, eventually becomes instrumental in the grand scheme of things. A fascinating interpretation of this stone, as per some scholars, is that it symbolizes Prophet Muhammad. Now, one may wonder, how could a stone represent a prophet? Well, let us delve into this thought. Prophet Muhammad, in the initial stages of his prophethood, was largely ignored and overlooked by his community. His message of monotheism was not immediately accepted, and he faced significant resistance. This is analogous to the forgotten stone, which is initially dismissed but eventually becomes of great importance. This idea is further solidified when we look at the biblical verse where Jesus mentions that the covenant will be taken from the children and given to another nation. This could be referring to the descendants of Ishmael, who is often seen as the forgotten stone in Genesis. Abraham, the common patriarch of both Isaac and Ishmael, asked God for Ishmael to be included in the covenant. God responded by saying that Ishmael will beget a great nation. Now, if we consider the word great in this context, it must refer to worshippers of God. After all, it would be unlikely for God to label a nation as great if they do not worship him. Thus, the prophecy of Ishmael begetting a great nation and the forgotten stone being remembered could be seen as a reference to Prophet Muhammad. He emerged from the lineage of Ishmael, carried forth the message of monotheism, and established a community of worshippers, thereby fulfilling the promise made to Abraham. This forgotten stone is the foundation of our next discussion, the covenant. It's a fascinating exploration of how the seemingly insignificant can become the cornerstone of something monumental. So stay tuned as we delve deeper into this intriguing narrative. The covenant, a divine pact, holds a pivotal position in Abrahamic religions. This sacred agreement, first established between God and Abraham, was initially intended for the lineage of Isaac, Abraham's son. But the narrative takes an interesting twist when we delve deeper into the scriptures. In the biblical text, we find an intriguing dialogue between God and Abraham. Abraham, in his earnest request, pleads for Ishmael, his other son, to be involved in this divine covenant. In response, God promises Abraham that Ishmael too will beget a great nation. Now, what does it mean for Ishmael to father a great nation? To understand this, we must reflect on the divine standard of greatness. In the eyes of the divine, greatness isn't measured by material wealth, power, or prestige, but by the devotion and righteousness of its people. Therefore, when God promises a great nation springing from Ishmael, we can infer that this nation will be characterized by its dedication to worship and adherence to divine principles. If we trace the lineage of Ishmael, we find an intriguing fulfillment of this prophecy. The lineage of Ishmael eventually leads to Prophet Muhammad, born in the heart of the Arabian desert, brought forth a spiritual transformation that resonated across the globe. The Muslims, who are undoubtedly a great nation in the divine sense. In this mentioned by Jesus, this great nation, as prophesied, is the one that built the Kaaba. The Kaaba, the center of pilgrimage in Islam, has a deeply rooted history in the prophetic lineage. It's a symbol of unity, a beacon attracting millions of worshippers from every corner of the globe. But let's delve deeper into its origin and the significance it holds within the Islamic faith. The Kaaba, believed to be built by Prophet Abraham and his son Ishmael, holds within its walls a narrative that intertwines with the forgotten stone and the covenant. When Abraham and Ishmael laid the foundation of the Kaaba, it was not merely a construction of stone and mortar, but a testament of faith, a beacon for the future worshippers of God. The final stone to be placed in the Kaaba, the Black Stone, is of particular interest here. This stone, according to Islamic tradition, was brought to Abraham by the angel Gabriel and placed into the eastern corner of the Kaaba. This act symbolized the completion of the Kaaba and the establishment of a place of worship for God's followers. Now let's bring back the forgotten stone. Could it be that this black stone is a symbolic representation of the forgotten stone mentioned in the narratives of Jesus? Could it be that this stone, revered and kissed by millions of pilgrims every year, represents Prophet Muhammad, the one believed by Muslims to be the final messenger of God? In the Quran, it is mentioned that Abraham prayed for a prophet to come from his lineage, a prayer that was answered with the birth of Muhammad many generations later. Could it be that the forgotten stone and the last stone placed in the Kaaba are symbolic of the same prophecy? The prophecy of Muhammad's advent. The forgotten stone, the covenant and the Kaaba all seem to intertwine in an extraordinary way, pointing towards Prophet Muhammad. This narrative, this connection, is not just about a historic construction or a forgotten stone, but about a prophecy that ties together the threads of faith and history. The connections we've explored today have opened up new horizons in understanding the relationship between Prophet Muhammad and Jesus. As we've journeyed through this discussion, we've delved into some of the most intriguing aspects of religious scripture, unearthing potential prophecies and connections that link these two important figures of faith. We began our exploration with the concept of the forgotten stone, a seemingly inconspicuous element in the narrative, yet one that carries profound implications. This forgotten stone could be interpreted as a reference to Prophet Muhammad, mentioned by Jesus himself. This interpretation presents an intriguing perspective, suggesting that the Prophet Muhammad was not only recognized, but also prophesied by Jesus. In our exploration of the covenant, we uncovered another layer of connection. When Jesus mentioned that the covenant would be taken from the children and given to another nation, we proposed that this could be a reference to Ishmael, the forgotten stone of Genesis. We examined the possibility that Abraham's request to God for Ishmael to be involved in the covenant, and God's response that Ishmael would beget a great nation, could be seen as further evidence of this prophecy. The term great in this context could refer to worshippers of God, as it's unlikely that God would refer to those who do not worship him as great. Taking this interpretation further, we discussed how the prophecy of a great nation and the forgotten stone being remembered could be seen as a reference to the building of the Kaaba, as described in the Quran. According to this sacred text, it was Abraham and Ishmael who built the Kaaba, placing the last stone in this holy structure. This act could be seen as the forgotten stone being remembered and the emergence of a great nation of worshippers as Ishmael's descendants embraced the worship of God. These interpretations offer a fresh perspective on the relationship between Prophet Muhammad and Jesus, suggesting a deeper connection than is often recognized. Of course, these interpretations are but one way of understanding these complex and richly layered scriptures. They are not definitive answers, but rather they are invitations to delve deeper into the scriptures, to question and to seek understanding. In the grand tapestry of religious history, these threads of connection weave a compelling narrative, one that invites further exploration and understanding. As we continue to explore and interpret these scriptures, we enrich our understanding of these two great figures of faith and their profound influence on the world. So let's keep exploring, questioning, and seeking understanding. For in the pursuit of knowledge, we may find not only answers but also a deeper appreciation for the richness and complexity of our shared religious heritage.